Are you guys like?
Yeah.
Are you guys in when it comes to sort of food that's on off the beaten track, or just sort of? I mean, are you more? What bothers you more? Is it taste or is it consistency? Like, what's more likely to make you hurl?
Consistency, I think, actually. Even just like a
Yeah.
bad spoonful of pudding can make you barf.
There's a smell thing too. Like if it smells like the baby changing station at the Superdome, that's not a good.
Yeah, my thing's definitely texture. I mean, like, I have a problem with things that are gelatinous in general. And I remember one time, being in Kiev, Ukraine, and and still being a vegetarian, completely a vegetarian, and there being nothing to eat at the restaurant that I was at except for vegetables set in gelatin, and it was like these leaves of lettuce that were like slimy, and like carrots and other vegetables that were sort of semi-cooked and salted inside of a clear, salty Jello, and it was just
So-
not great.
It's kind of for me. I don't know if it's the consistency or what. It's like offal or just like organ meat. I never liked it growing up. Like the rare instances where parents would make liver or something. So anytime it's like I love Vietnamese food. I love going to Vietnamese restaurants, but there's always an extent where like I don't want oxtail or like the tripe and sinew and that sort of thing. And I don't know if that's just particular to me or you guys feel the same way. The same reason that like I don't like octopus because it's like eating the suction cup. I associate it more with like an organ and tastes like a rubber band.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on sort of what you're raised on. I mean, it's been a while, but like my parents are from Guyana, South America, and the history there is a little interesting in that black people were brought over as slaves from various African regions, and then after slavery was abolished, they brought over East Indians and Chinese as indentured laborers. So I grew up, as a matter of course, eating roti and curry and chow mein, and all sorts of other stuff like liver and kidney, and various sort of things. So I grew up with like a somewhat more adventurous palate than the friends I went to school with in Surrey, just outside of Vancouver. So it was always interesting. Like I remember the probably the last fight that I actually got into was in sixth grade over a friend who would come over to my place, just to hang out for the day, and had dinner, and then the next day went to school and was talking shit about my mother's cooking. And he can't. I mean, it was, and I think, and my mother had taken into account that this guy was, sort of regular, Canadian, regular white Canadian, and so she'd made chow mein. But it was, it was maybe she put like these like little red peppers in there, and I think it was definitely spicier than what he was used to. So he went off on the food, and I had to fight him. Now I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I'm pretty sure I did not win that fight. But that said, I mean, food is just one of those things that everyone's got their own particular taste. Everyone's got the stuff that works for them, and other people get weirded out by.
Did anyone like growing up? I don't think even aside from any kind of like ethnic differences in food, I would be weirded out by eating food that other people prepared, like not at a restaurant or something, but other people's houses. Like if your house, if you're not used to having a bunch of garlic or something, and then like that'll set you off. But like I remember going to this kid Alvin's house, and I probably did the same thing, talk shit on his mom's cooking, because it would always be like, was it like butter beans and like bacon or something, and like an egg salad sandwich. That shit was gross to me.
And that sounds pretty good, actually. Butter beans and bacon and egg salad.
Most of us, like Robert and Luke, did you grow up on the other end where, like I did, and this is a radical change, I'd say, in the past 20 years. It's like, like my parents eat nothing but it's just the same shit, like a steak is eating out, and then it's like some kind of like hamburger helper or the blandest spaghetti, and then the exotic is a taco, and it was basically like a Lawry's preformed taco shell with hamburger meat inside it, and then like some stuff called salsa that was basically just like ketchup. Some like cheddar cheese on it or something.
Mama Smith was actually a pretty good cook. We had probably like 20 to 30 core dishes, and she would just rotate between cooking different ones depending on like when she'd get home from work. I mean, we'd have like pastas, like I remember when I was a young kid, we had this stuff called casserole. I don't know.
Exotic casserole.
I don't really know what I mean. I won't eat anything to this day that's called casserole. Like I'm still like a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old intellectually. Because casserole when I was real young, that was like when we were poor. That was whatever we had in the pantry thrown into a glass pan with some cream of something soup added to it and baked. That shit I will not. Tuna casserole, no. Absolutely not. Chicken cacciatore casserole, absolutely not. Steak and potatoes casserole, no. If it has the word casserole in it, to me it's like some sort of disgusting science project that was left in the oven on 350 for an hour, and then it's like, ding, look what's for dinner, and you have to cut through it with it. Just no, absolutely not. But when I was
you just described like the entire menu at my house.
Yeah,
like that and hamburger helper. That's about it.
Well,
that is actually not true. But go on.
I was going to say that's an interesting.
What did you grow up in my house?
I've had dinner at your house many times, and I was like always amazed by the fact that you prepare food that's better than what I would pay for in a restaurant, and I'm just not used to that happening in someone's house because
I'm talking about my house. I'm talking about my house growing up.
Oh, okay. I thought you
about
meant
my house
your
now.
place now. Yes, I was like, that's just like you're just self-deprecating for the fun.
No.
Okay,
No, I don't make casserole. I don't make chicken cacciatore casserole in my apartment. But I'm talking about like when I was a kid growing up. It was all like hamburger helper and weird ass like single dish casseroles, like Luke's talking about, where like everything is a combination of like egg noodles and cream of chicken soup.
And guy goes, I have topped that and say many times I'd come home and I'd be totally hungry, and like a typical stupid kid, couldn't make anything myself. And my dad's idea, like if mom was still working, my dad's idea of dinner would be to take a hot dog and some Ore-Ida French fries and put them on a paper plate and microwave them all together until the hot dog just like fucking explodes like Tetsuo's arm, and then pulls it out, and the plate is now transparent on the bottom, and then squirt like a big thing of ketchup on it. And then that's it. That's your dinner, dude. You just you grab the hot dog and dip it in, and you grab those fries when you microwave a French fry.
Yeah.
It turns out like a fucking parasite or something. But yeah. So anyway, end guy.
No, I'm still recovering from your story. I mean, I got to follow up on that. So, like, I mean, other than the fact that you had to eat it and you still haven't told us what it tasted like, was at least sort of the adventure of exploding hot dogs in microwave kind of cool for you as a kid, or not really?
No, because the habit makes anything less exciting. So it wasn't like, whoa, the hot dog exploded. It was like, that's like what hot dogs do. It's like popcorn. Mm-hmm. It's just pretty much like a natural trait associated with it.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was in response to Luke's comment about casseroles is that it reminds me of one of my best friends growing up, and their mom was a single mom, and she, she's from Trinidad, I believe, or the Virgin Islands. And anyway, there's a dish called pulao, which is, I think it's derived from East India, and it's kind of similar to biryani. And so basically, but it has casserolean properties, which is that it's rice, certain kinds of spices, and you can throw in leftover chicken, leftover beef, all these things and put it together. I loved whenever we would go over to a place having it because the shit tasted good. The problem was what I didn't realize until like they were teenagers was they were eating this more regularly, way more regularly than I was. And so to this day, my best friend and his brother, they can't eat it. You know what I'm saying? Because they grew up eating it so frequently. And look, it wasn't all the time, but it was frequently enough. And it also makes me think, like, when you for those of us who grew up either poor or from modest circumstances, there are things that, like, as a kid, you don't necessarily know that you're poor. You might know, or even modest circumstances, you might know that other people have more than you, or certain things that you don't, but you don't necessarily know that you're poor. And so there are a lot of things now that I look back on, and sort of see, and I'm just like, oh, now I sort of get, like, maybe why things went down the way they did.
For me, I knew, I mean, not to
talk it up like, yeah, man, like I got like working class cred. But I knew when we went to the food bank regularly when my dad was an alcoholic and my mom was supporting all of us, it's like, and then when my mom would, because I despise powdered milk, but she'd trick me because she'd get like a jug of regular milk, like a gallon of regular milk once like every 3 months and keep the thing and then just pour the powdered milk into it and put the cap back on. I would taste that. I knew I was poor. The taste of powdered milk is like someone come up to your house and like putting a condemned notice on your door.
Man, I was all about canned condensed milk. That like
that's
sweet
though. Yeah, that's like a dessert drink.
Love condensed milk.
I used to love that. Yeah, I mean that would explain why I put on the pounds early in life. But I used to have that in my cereal, in like my Count Chocula.
You ate a bowl of cereal with fucking condensed milk?
Yeah, like shit. Often. Yeah,
I've never had it.
Have you ever had like Thai iced tea, or you ever have like an Asian shave ice with like red bean or something, and they'll put like the condensed milk on top of it?
Yeah,
you might not have known it was condensed milk, but
it's this really sweet, like it doesn't have a lot of at least maybe it does like nutritionally, but it doesn't taste like it has a lot of fat to it. It's pretty watery, but it's like really sweet and it just has this particular flavor. And yeah, it's like part of a lot of desserts, like Indian desserts and Southeast Asian desserts, but also a big part of like Southern American cooking.
Yeah, I grew up on that. We would break that out on toast, actually. Parents would, toast some bread and sort of lay it out on that. So for me, later on in life, when I encountered like Thai iced tea and things like that, I was already prepped on condensed milk. And then on top of it, there's this Christmas punch from the Caribbean. My mom calls it punch de creme. And you make it with rum, condensed milk, bitters, and I think like a little lemon peel and some other things that go into it. And that stuff will put you on your ass, and it tastes so good. It's so sweet. It's awesome.
That sounds pretty rad, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to brew some for the crew.
All right. Send it via email. Attach it.
I figured at this point I should tell the listeners that we do have a plan. We sort of reversed our order this week. We're doing some rambling, and we're going to talk about what we're consuming. In this case, literally food, but other media and stuff as well. And the second half, have a more directed discussion. But now, before I forget, what the hell? I had one final food comment.
We're talking about
here's what it is. Does this, and this will lead. I think this will lead into one thing that I've been consuming. Do you ever, as you get older, I started to kind of appreciate, as much as I love, awesome food, I started to appreciate sort of the Spartan diet my dad ate, where he could eat, like a can of Dinty Moore stew over and over again for 10 years. That would be dinner, or that would be lunch or something, or like you just some beans in a bowl or something. I mean, and I don't know if it's a pride and, like, hey, I could, you read about guys like, Chris McCandless, the tragedy story of the guy who went to Alaska and ended up starving to death. But, prior to that, he was doing all right for himself and brought a 40-pound bag of rice and took a canoe from the Colorado River all the way down to Mexico. And, I mean, there's something to me that's appealing when I go a week and I'm like, I haven't had anything but, and it's something ridiculously simple, like I can't, like I took 5 types of beans, some tomatoes and corn, and mixed them up into a giant bowl and just ate that with like chips or something and used that for like a meal every day of the week. I don't know if that's just like
I think it's a manliness thing. I think it's a manliness thing. Like I also romanticize like simple things like I even though I don't eat much meat, at least I sort of fantasize about like being the kind of guy who could come home and have dinner be just some like slices of salami and beer, or there are a lot of like cans of anchovies.
Finishing that thought, the whole nonsense about Zimbabwe that I was getting at is just that it's the 2009 version of what our parents would say when they would remind us to eat everything on our plate because there were starving children in China. But I think for me that makes sense because it's one thing to hear all this sort of thing when you're young, and it's for me it's not. It wasn't until much later in life when I can actually really put myself in any kind of position where there's like legitimate empathy for what's what a situation is outside of my own experience.
So to you, eating beans and tortilla chips brings you closer to Zimbabwe.
No, it doesn't. And fuck you for saying that. Maybe I was saying that. So that's good. You give me the chance to clarify. It doesn't, but it makes me feel like less. I don't know, less in this gross sense of over entitlement. I think you tend to get when you're in an affluent society, right? And when your notion of catastrophe is just like a slight, anything that slightly diminishes what you're familiar with, your comfort level. So anything that shows me I can reduce my comfort level and still be cool with it is good.
Yeah, you get worried about what happens if you let me loose in the woods. Like, I think I would probably die in a day or two. Like, I just can't take care of myself, And I think trying to test the boundaries of what you're comfortable with is a nice thing to do. I wish I did that more.
All of this from eating the same thing every day, which I do exclusively because I'm lazy.
What do you eat every day?
It's a way to romanticize laziness.
I have a bowl of oatmeal every morning with peanut butter. Just a dollop of peanut butter. I have a chicken sandwich for lunch. I have some almonds in the afternoon. And then I have chicken at dinner. Like chicken breast or something. And that's it every day, same exact thing. And I have yogurt either for breakfast, if I don't have oatmeal, or before bed.
That sounds positively electrifying.
That doesn't make me feel manly at all. It actually makes me feel like a huge wuss. Because I don't get to, I'm not eating anything sweet or bloody or delicious.
Are you dieting, or is it just sort of that sort of stuff that is comfort food in a way, and it's easy to prepare?
It's easy to prepare, and it's high protein. I'm spending a lot of protein these days.